السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. ما يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. وبعد. So today inshallah we'll continue with the 10th hadith. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن الله طيب لا يقبل إلا طيبا، وإن الله أمر المؤمنين بما أمر به المرسلين، فقال تعالى يا أيها الرسل كلوا من الطيبات واعملوا صالحا، وقال تعالى يا أيها الذين آمنوا كلوا من طيبات ما رزقناكم. ثم ذكر الرجل يطيل السفر أشعث أغبر يمد يديه إلى السماء يا رب يا رب، ومطعمه حرام ومشربه حرام وملبسه حرام وغذي بالحرام فأنى يستجاب له. وذكرنا أنه رواه الإمام مسلم. On the authority of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, verily Allah is pure or tayyib, and He only accepts what is pure, tayyib. And Allah has commanded the believers with what He commanded His messengers. So He the Exalted said, O messengers, eat of the good foods. And He the Exalted said, O you who have attained faith, eat of the good things we have provided you. Then He mentioned a man on a long journey, worn out and dusty, who raised his hand to the heavens saying, O Lord, Ya Rab, Ya Rab. But his food was from the prohibited or from the haram, his drink was from the prohibited, from the haram, his clothing was from the prohibited, haram, and he is nourished from the prohibited, the haram. So how could that ever be answered? And we mentioned that this was narrated by Imam Muslim. So last time we mentioned the tayyib, and mentioned the tayyib is clean, and with regards to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He is exalted and, nothing, and He is free from all those, negative things or the things that have any negative meanings with regards to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then we mentioned about the food, the rulings regarding food and what is permissible and what is permissible, and then we mentioned the ba'ih, the slaying, and we mentioned its types and what is done when, and we stopped at the hunting. So today inshallah we're going to mention the hunting. We're going to mention the rulings about someone who gets in in a dire necessity to eat something of the muharram, and then we'll just maybe mention a little bit about the dua and we'll finish inshallah.
So we're doing 10, right? Number
Yeah.
10. Last week I wasn't here. Did we do 10 as well? Or?
Yeah, it was same hadith, and you'll find it. It's recorded already, and it's on the YouTube and the web page of the Masjid.
On the Facebook channel.
Facebook of the channel of the Masjid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you'll find it inshallah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Okay, good. Alhamdulillah. Allah yafiqar.
I'll give you the link.
Please, inshallah.
So let's start with hunting, and we mentioned hunting that what are the criteria for hunting, what makes hunting permissible, or when can you hunt an animal and consider it halal. So first rule, any animal that can be slaughtered must not be hunted. This is number one. If you can catch the animal and slaughter it or slay it, then you don't need hunting. Okay? Second thing, as we mentioned, Allah's name must be mentioned when the weapon is fired or when you release the animal. So you have your dog, you have your leopard, and then release it to hunt. Then you say Bismillah at this time. And we mentioned last time that forgetting Bismillah, forgetting the tasbih, here is not tolerated. With the ba'ih, there are some Yeah, with the dhabh it can be tolerated if you forget it, but not with hunting. Hunting is more strict. Hunting is more stringent. The requirements of hunting is more stringent, because the normal thing is that you slaughter the animal, and the hunting is kind of an exception, because you can't catch this animal. So the second thing we mentioned now is mentioning Allah's name subhanahu wa ta'ala. The third thing is to use a sharp weapon or a tool that it will penetrate and or kill with its edge, not with its weight. To make that clear, you know if you have some kind of stones or something and that you're throwing at birds to kill them, this is not hunting. When someone gets like a small rock or a small pebble and then tries to catch a bird with it, this is not hunting. Why? Because it doesn't kill by penetrating or by cutting. It kills by its weight from the impact. So this is not hunting. This is mawquda. This is now a dead animal. Okay? Similarly, if you want to think about it in another way, you know the boomerang, right? If you hunt with the boomerang, if it's not sharp, it doesn't have a sharp edge, and it just hits the animal, and from this impact the animal dies, it's not hunting. If it's sharpened and it will just cut the animal, and make him bleed and so on, then this is hunting. They call it cut. Okay? Also, we said to use a sharp weapon that would cut or penetrate, the tool would cut or penetrate, or hunt using an animal. The animal, when it's trained, is considered a tool, and its killing is equivalent to slaughtering. And then the hadith narrated by Bukhari and Muslim that the dog's catching to the animal is its slaying. Okay? So we mentioned this. So if the game, the animal that you're hunting, the game, is killed by a rock, or it gets strangled in a net, or whatever, or just take it, or when it saw the dog, it was scared to death. Some animals actually die out of scare. They get scared and die. So all of those are dead animals. Those are not game. Those are not hunting. Okay. So either the tool needs to cut or penetrate, or the animal that your trained animal, the hound needs to go and catch. Okay? So it doesn't differ if you are throwing the tool or the animal is walking toward the tool. So they mentioned an example. The sickle, this like a crescent, but it's a knife. They use it to cut bananas and stuff like that. What if you, put those on the ground and then scared the game? Like you have some geese and then you said, Bismillah, Bismillah, behind them, and they start running and then they are hitting those sickles. Then this is also hunting. Okay? It doesn't differ if you throw the sickle or the bird goes towards it, as long as you did this intentionally, you prepared this, and you said Bismillah. So what about the animal that you're using for hunting? And normally it would be a dog, leopard, or some kind of bird like the falcons. So in Surah Al-Ma'idah, يسألونك ماذا أحل لهم قل أحل لكم الطيبات وما علمتم من الجوارح مكلبين تعلمونهن مما علمكم الله فكلوا مما أمسكنا عليكم واذكروا اسم الله عليه. So they ask you, Prophet, what is lawful for them? Say, all good things are lawful for you. This includes what you have taught your birds and beasts of prey to catch, teaching them, or you teach them as Allah has taught you. So eat what they catch for you and pronounce Allah's name over it. Similarly, Abu Tha'lab al-Khushani radiallahu anhu said, I came to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, O Messenger of Allah, we live in a hunting land. His place, his city, or where he was living, hunting was something popular. So something common. They go for hunting normally. So he said, I hunt with my bow, I hunt with my trained dog, and I hunt with my untrained dog. So tell me what is fit or what is acceptable for me. So he sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, since you said that you live in a hunting land, so whatever you hit with your bow and mentioned Allah's name upon it, then eat it. This is the first scenario, or first way. And what you hunt with your trained dog and mention Allah's name upon it, then eat it. And what you hunt with your untrained dog, if you find it while it still can be slayed, then eat it. Meaning to say, if the dog is not trained but he catched or it catched an animal, but this animal is still not dead, still have a life that you can actually slaughter it, then you slaughter it. But if it actually killed it, you don't eat it from that because it's not trained. So how do we know if an animal is trained? How do we know that this dog or this leopard is trained? First, it hunts when you order it. Go catch, it go to catch. And if it's a dog or a leopard, then it doesn't eat from the prey. Okay? You send it to hunt something, like a rabbit, like a deer, like whatever. It catches it. It can kill it, but it don't eat. It doesn't eat from it. Okay? This is not considered in hunting birds, and if you're hunting with a bird, was like a falcon, because the training of a bird is actually to catch the animal and eat. So you cannot avoid that. And actually the hunters don't consider a bird to be trained for hunting unless it catches and eats. Another thing.
So if the dog is untrained and it eats, it's still halal?
No, if the dog is not trained, it's not halal. Anyways, unless you find it still alive and you slaughter it.
Even if he eats before that?
Yeah, it's the same. It will be the same thing like if a wolf, ran after a deer and ate part of its leg, but then you found this deer and slaughtered it and ate it. Okay, but the trained dog, if the trained dog actually catch for you and start eating from this prey, then it's not allowed anymore. فَكُلُوا مِمَّا أَمْسَكْنَا عَلَيْكُمْ. So they hunted for you, not just hunted. Also, when the master of this animal tells it to stop, it stop. The trained dog. You told him, sit, it sit, up, it up. Shake hands, shake hands. Trained dogs are known. And another thing, this needs to be repeated until it's considered a trained animal. Not only once, maybe 3 times. At least 3 times. So that know that it's a habit of this animal. It proves that it's trained. It's a trained animal. 3 times, and actually this depends more on the customs. What the hunters consider a trained animal, then that's a trained animal. Another thing when hunting with an animal, that it doesn't hunt without being ordered to. So it doesn't go out of its own mind. It doesn't, like your dog doesn't see a duck and start chasing it. Now it's chasing for himself, not for you. We mentioned the hadith. If you release your dog and mention Allah's name, so you have to release it. You have to release it. Not doesn't go by its own decision. The last thing is to mean to hunt. Like example, if you're just showing your friend or the person with you, telling him, okay, you need to take the gun, you need to put it like this and shoot and say Bismillah, and then while you're saying this, you actually shot a bullet and hit a bird. There's no intention. You didn't mean to kill or to hunt this bird, so it's not. It's not a game. You didn't actually mean to hunt it. Similarly, if the dog, if you're training your dog, for example, you're throwing him a ball, something to go, and say, okay, and you're giving him the habit and say, whenever you throw the ball, say Bismillah, and then he goes catch it, and then you said this and threw the ball, and then the dog went, but he returned with a rabbit. So you didn't do intention. You didn't mean to hunt. So this is not hunting. We'll mention a hadith now to summarize this. This hadith was narrated by Ali ibn Hatim radiallahu anhu. He said, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if you released your trained dog and mentioned Allah's name and it catches again, now we have this trained dog, you released it and it caught an animal. Okay? If it's still alive, then slaughter it. And if your dog kills it and didn't eat from it, then eat it. As the dog's catching is slaughtering. It's equivalent. So first case, you have this trained dog, you release it, it catches an animal, but the animal is not dead. Then you have to slaughter it. If it's dead, then it's enough. As long as this animal, dog or leopard is trained. Then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if the dog eats, then don't eat from it, or don't eat it. As I'm concerned, in that case, it hunted for itself. إني أخاف أن يكون أمسك على نفسه ولم يمسك عليك. So if the dog eats, then it most probably, or Rasulullah said, I'm concerned that it actually hunted for itself, not for you. Remember when I mentioned then when something that prohibits and something permits come together, then always the side of the prohibition, supersedes. In the same case, this dog might have caught it for you and then got hungry, or might have caught it for himself from the beginning. So now this is something that prohibits al-hadir and something that permits al-mubih, then we avoid it. And if you find other dogs with your dog, then don't eat. You released your dog, and you went there, you find your dog caught the deer, but there is another 2 or 3 dogs with him, then don't eat. Why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said it? Then don't eat. As you mentioned Allah's name on your dog, not the other dogs. Okay? And he told them, if you shoot your arrow, mention Allah's name. If the game is absent 1 or 2 days from you, he just maybe threw his arrow, he knew that it was, for example, a green bird. And he went looking for it, and then it took him a day or 2 to find this bird, and it's still fresh, of course. It's not rotten. And then, if the game is absent 1 or 2 days from your side, then you don't find in it any other marks, then eat it. If it's only your arrow, only your bullet, then eat it. And if you find the game drowning in water, if you find it in the water, like in the river or something, then don't eat it. Because again, you don't know what killed it. Was it the water or was it your bullet or arrow? Okay, so this was narrated by Al-Bukhari and Muslim, rahimahullah ta'ala. This is what about hunting. I hope it was clear. I tried to summarize it as much as I could. And now we get to the case of necessity. When someone is compelled in severe starvation and didn't find anything to eat except something that is not permissible, something haram, then he can eat what keeps him alive. And in Surah Al-Ma'idah, فَمَنِ اضْطُرَّ غَيْرَ بَاغٍ وَلَا عَادٍ فَإِنَّ رَبَّكَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. But whoever is compelled by starvation with no intent to sin, then indeed Allah is forgiving, bestowing of mercy. You need to know that it's not permissible in this case to eat more than what satiates you. If normally someone gets full after one bowl, for example, or like this big, he's not permitted to eat more than this. For sure he's permitted to eat what keeps him alive. But what makes him full, just takes away the hunger, this is, scholars have 2 opinions about that. Some of them said he got the permission so he can eat what makes him satisfied. Others say no. And actually this was some hadith narrated in this meaning. And others said no. Muharram is Muharram. We only give this exception to keep him alive. So he eats what only keeps him alive. Also, you should take care that if someone was compelled to eat something haram, and then he finds something that's prohibited by consensus, something muharram bil ijma', like what? Like al-mayta, something, a dead animal, or khinzir, or the pork. And another thing that is prohibited, that its prohibition is debated. Mukhtalaf fi. Some scholars say this is haram and some scholars say this is halal. Okay? like a fox, okay, for example, then he must eat from the what its prohibition is debated, not something that's by consensus haram. Why? Anyone? Okay, now you're compelled to eat and you find a pork and a fox. Which one you're going to eat?
The less haram, the box.
Well, yeah, because it's less haram, right? It's less, yeah, you say you consider it haram, but there are some scholars who say it's not haram. And when they say that, this means that there is a probability. It might be 20%, might be 5%, but the other one is 100% haram. Okay? So avoid what is 100%, you always do the less evil, right? It's not even in this case because you're keeping your life. But what I meant to say is that if something is, crimes are not equal. Things that are prohibited are not equal. So we take the lesser muharram, okay? So what if someone gets compelled and just find someone else's food? Okay, so like two are traveling together, they got, robbed out of their own, what they have, and then this other guy had some food that he was putting in his pocket or in his clothes, and it was not taken. So we only have this one. First case is that the other guy would be compelled to, right? Then you're not permitted to take his food. Okay? Now both of you are 2 days walk from the closest city. Okay? Or you're lost in the mountain or in the forest or whatever, okay? And he has food just for 2 days or something like that. Then you don't take the food from him. Why? Now it's either your life or his life. Then you're equal. And the other guy actually owns this, so it's his. You don't take it from him. Okay? You don't save your life by killing the other one. However, if the other one is not compelled, like the same case, but one was robbed and the other one has actually a bag full of food. Then the compelled person takes food from the other guy and pays him, either now or later. You take the other guy, the one who has extra food, needs to give it to the one who is compelled. But he doesn't have to give it for free. He paid, for example, $50 for this food, then he should be compensated by this, either now, if the compelled person has money, or later if he doesn't have now. Okay? And if someone, and you need only to pay the regular price for this. He can't go on, let us say, a chocolate bar is what? $2, $3, right? Something like that. And let's say he has some chocolate bars, and this would keep you alive. He can't sell it for you for $50 or $30. No. Its price is normal price, $3, $4, $2, $5. Then this is its price. He can't go on raise the price for you. Even if you took it as a debt, okay, I'll take it now and pay you later, then you owe him only the price, not the exaggerations that he's making, or the high price.
If you added money, or says you add money, then it's going
No added money. You only give him what the price of the thing is. Okay? But take care. You also are going to take from him what keeps you alive. The same thing as if you have a dead body or a carcass, then you take the same amount. You don't go, okay, you have a lot of food, I'm going to take all of this from you. No. You only take what keeps you alive. Because you're taking what is not yours, but only because you need to continue living. Okay? So what if the second person refused to give it? He said, yeah, I have enough food, and I'm not in need, and I will not be in need, but I don't want to give you food. I don't want it. It is mine. I'm not giving you anything. Okay? Some people are mean like that, right? Then you can take it by force. In this case, the compelled person can't take this food by force. Strong arm him, take the food.
So you can ask
And you ask him, and then he's not giving it to you, even for a price. Then you can take what keeps you alive and pay him later, even by force. Because the other option would be you're dead. And this old guy who's preventing you, not giving you this food, is actually unjust to you. So no, you can take this food now, pay him later, even if you're going to force him to take it. Okay? This is about the food. So what about the, another thing? It's not permitted, it's not permissible, it's not permitted to use a prohibited food or drink as medicine. Okay? You can't go on, take medicine by drinking urine. People do it, right? You heard of this. People do that. Actually, recently I saw some guy, I don't remember where, but some person who's just, he's going, his diet that he's drinking his own urine. And he's mentioning how beneficial this is. Okay? Yeah, alhamdulillah, say alhamdulillah, you have, you have the fitra, you're not contaminated from inside. But this guy, he's considering his urine something healthy. Even if he needs it, it's not something permissible. Only unless he's going to take this or die. That's another thing. Okay? We're not talking about medicine. Someone got sick, and the doctor told him, okay, you need to drink this alcohol, for example. No. Okay? If you're going to say it's either this or die, then now went back to being compelled to keep your life.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. Can you just repeat that ruling one more time that you just said with medicine?
You're not allowed to take something that's prohibited as a medicine.
Okay.
Okay? Unless this is something that's actually going to lose your life.
Okay.
Again, if, for example, let's say, just assumption, you have some kind of something in your stomach that it cannot be treated at all. Well, actually, this is not realistic. But let's say that, okay, let's say that you're going to die unless, for example, they do something for you and you need to take khamr, and otherwise you're going to die. Then you're allowed to do it. But the normal medicine, or the medicine that actually you need, but, the haram is not medicine. Okay? Like when we say, we know the cough syrup that contains alcohol. You're not going to drink that. Okay?
So if it's a necessity and it has some form of
Well, when we say necessity, that you're going to lose your life, or lose a part, lose an arm, lose a leg, lose an eye.
And you have to take
Yeah.
you have to consume it or something?
Yes, there's another thing, okay? Yeah, as I mentioned now, this guy who's drinking his own urine. Or I think also in some places in Asia they have this fancy eggs where they boil it in kids' urine. Yeah, there are some things. Or people who just, drink blood to be healthy. Whatever, Yeah, of course that's haram. We're not...
The animal's blood is haram.
All blood that is running blood, it's haram. And even your own blood.
Animal's blood we used to drink, but I need it was
Yeah.
haram.
Yeah, okay. So this is haram. The blood is haram, okay? So, in the hadith, Allah didn't make in what He prohibited upon you recovery. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَمْ يَجْعَلْ فِي مَا حَرَّمَ عَلَيْكُمْ شِفَاءً. Okay? This hadith, some scholars say it's a good hadith, hadith and hasan, and some scholars choose that it's actually the words of Ibn Mas'ud, of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. Anyways, it's acceptable. So now, just to summarize this again. If someone, for some reason, hypothetically, either take this medicine that is made of khamr or from pork or die, then this now is a necessity. The medicine that makes, the medicine is not allowed to be from something prohibited. Okay? And when I say something prohibited, I'm saying something that's clearly prohibited. Like you're going to tell you, okay, you need to drink these vitamins with
Gelatin.
That's why I'm mentioning this. That's specifically why I'm mentioning. I'm not talking about gelatin now, at all. Why gelatin is another discussion, because gelatin, you need to know its source, and even if it's pork,
That's true.
even if it's pork, it did it. Is it still pork, or did it actually transfer into another substance? This is a discussion between scholars.
Alright.
Okay, just to make it clear for you, you know the
So
the place where you do the salt. You know how salt is produced when they have this big ponds when they dry the water out.
dry the water.
Yeah. What if a dog or a pig drops in this one, and after some time it becomes part of the salt?
The pig becomes a part of
Yeah,
the salt.
it actually decayed, and you have this shape, but it's actually salt. When you get it in your hand, it's salt.
Lord.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the thing. This is this is what you call it, the transformation of najasa. Okay. What the transformation of najasa is, like, vinegar is made out of khamr. Okay. You get the khamr, you leave it for some time. When the khamr gets ruined, it transfers to vinegar. Okay.
But we can use this.
You can use this, right? Because khamr is gone. It's not khamr anymore.
Alcohol is very-
Yeah, it's not alcohol anymore. It's khal. It's vinegar. Okay. Similarly, is this when we take the gelatin out of the pork? Can we say the same or not? I don't have an answer for this, but I'm telling you about the discussion that's happening.
Yeah. So
Is
this is
it-
what they're debating amongst
Yeah,
scholars.
is it considered something that now it's transformed? Because when you take just gelatin, you're not eating, especially if it's processed and so on. You're not eating pork fat. You're not eating pork meat. You're not drinking pork blood. Nothing. Okay, you're eating gelatin. Right? Gelatin is a substance that can be found anywhere. Right? This is one opinion. Others say no. This is sourced from pork. Then it's sourced from pork. We're not going to touch it. Okay. So that's why I'm telling you. Now we're talking about something that's clearly haram. You know?
I was going to ask the camel urine. Camel urine.
Yeah, camel urine. Okay, so camel urine. This is another thing. Camel urine, especially for Imam Ahmad and I think Imam Malik, initially it's clean. It's not najasa. Okay. And from this hadith that you're mentioning, they said, okay, so any animal that it's edible, like a horse, like a sheep, like a camel, like a cow, like so on, then what it excretes, whether it's feces or urine, is actually clean, because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam permitted us to pray, or told us to pray where the barns of the sheep, where the sheep sit and sleep and so on, and they, of course, they excrete and do whatever, do their business in this place, but still you can pray there, meaning to say that this is clean. Okay. So that's what I meant. So when I mention now something haram, I'm not going in details, but I'm mentioning something that's clearly haram. No, I know someone who told me before that after he had some, heart surgery, the doctor told him, you need to drink some alcohol. I don't want you to get drunk, but I want some alcohol in your blood to to make your veins, make a plate or a layer in the inside of your veins that it become solid and you recover faster. This is another thing. This is not permissible. It's not permissible. Yeah, it might take longer for you to heal, but this
It's not a necessity.
it's not life or death now.
Yeah.
Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Okay. Another thing regarding khamr. And when I mention khamr, I mean now khamr that it's actual khamr. Like, you name it. Things like, like beer, like vodka, like stuff like that. Something that's actually khamr. I'm not talking, don't go with your mind with some, we have this juice and this have, no. I'm talking about something that's clear now. Khamr. You all know it, right? this liquor, that thing that you get or no, you don't get, that people get from liquor store. Okay, so those things are not permissible. Even so, this is the thing: if a person is going to die out of thirst, okay, then it's not permitted to drink khamr. Why? Even if it's going to die, because it dehydrates. Yeah, it actually is not. It's not going to quench your thirst. They're not permitted to drink this. Why? Because you're dying both ways, or this person is dying anyway.
So
Either.
in reality, there's no real argument for when you can drink it, right? In a sense.
No, we'll mention it now. Okay, so if it's only for thirst, then you can't drink it. Okay, this is from what we know about khamr. People who drink khamr, well, they need to tell us if there's some kinds of khamr that actually quench thirst or no. Allahu a'lam. But the scholars mentioned something. If khamr is mixed with something that would actually quench your thirst, let's say someone mixed beer, for example, with orange juice. So this drink will intoxicate you, but it will actually quench your thirst. If you're dying out of thirst, then in this case you can drink. Why? Because it will quench your thirst. It will actually stop you, prevent you from dying. Okay? But this is, as I told you, we need to know this. We don't know about that. And والعياذ بالله, والعياذ بالله, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we never be in a position where it's only khamr or dal. Right? However, it's permissible to drink khamr if you're choking. Okay? Someone, someone who got choking now, and there is the nearest thing to him was a liquor store, and this, person from the side got him a bottle, just drink to live, Now this person is not going to drink to get, to quench his thirst. No, it's something stopping in his throat. He needs to get it go, otherwise he'll suffocate, right? So this is a reason, now you can do this. Okay? And I think I mentioned this before, but I mentioned wrong. So if there is no drink available other than khamr, then you are allowed to drink it from choking, okay? However, it ranked third.
To be able to save your life.
Yeah, but it ranked third. We go first with the impure water, najis, like the toilet water, then urine, then khamr. Yeah, last time I mentioned urine, then blood, and khamr. No, it's, impure water, like from the toilet, as I mentioned before, then urine, then khamr. What's the difference between urine and khamr? Yeah.
Alcohol is intoxicating.
Yeah, so alcohol is intoxicating, and there's actually a real punishment for drinking khamr. Right? There is a had for drinking khamr. There's no had for drinking urine.
But it's impermissible.
Yeah, but it still is impermissible, right? Yeah. But it's not it's less haram than khamr. Okay? So this what we mentioned about the at-tayyib. So I don't know how long has it been now. It's about 38 minutes. We can mention about 5 minutes more and conclude. Yes.
Couple of questions. One is when you slaughter, you say just Bismillah, Bismillah, Allah.
Bismillah, Allah Akbar. Yeah. Bismillah, Allah Akbar.
And also in my countries, I heard that when you slaughter, the animal needs to be in the direction of
Qibla. Yeah.
Is this mandatory?
No, it's sunnah to direct it to the direction of Qibla, slaughter it, and say Bismillah, Allah Akbar, and slaughter it, okay? Another thing about khamr, wal-'adhu billah, I want to mention this, since we talked about the jet and stuff. Don't have this obsession, this food has khamr, this food has khamr, this food has alcohol, this food has alcohol. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave us a clear metric. ما أسكر كثير فقليل حرام. What a lot of it intoxicates, then the little of it is not permissible, right? Meaning to say, because some people say that, okay, what is the intoxicating element in any drink? Is the alcohol or ethanol. And they start to, okay, so this juice has 0.0001% ethanol, so it's khamr. No, it doesn't come that way. Actually, anything that has sugar, it will have a percentage of the ethanol. What is meant to say, or what is the metric, is that if this drink or this food if you eat the biggest amount a person can eat, let's say, there's about this water poisoning, right? You can't drink more than 5 or 6 liters of water. Then you'll get water poisoning. You're going to die of water, right? Similarly, if you drink 7, liters, you're going to get intoxicated. Yes, but you're not getting intoxicated unless you drink 25 liters. That's not khamr. It's not something that a normal person would drink. A person cannot drink a barrel, right?
So what you're saying is, like, even if it has like a percentage
Yes.
of khamr in it, that is even if you drank an absurd amount of it, right?
Yeah.
If you drank an absurd amount of it only, then
You're not.
that would affect you.
Yeah.
You're
You cannot consume this amount of drink.
Yeah.
You cannot drink a barrel. You cannot drink 5 gallons.
So it's not enough to intoxicate you.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So I think that it will not intoxicate you if consumed in big amount, in the big amount that can be consumed by a person, then it's not khamr. It will kill you first. Okay.
It will kill you first before intoxicating.
Yeah. So
Okay.
basically, you can see it. Yeah, if you put an equation, that you need this, the ethanol, alcohol in your blood level to be whatever, and then you can reach this level after drinking 200 liters, then it's khamr. No, it doesn't. It's not considered that way. Because as I told you, to my knowledge, anything with sugar, any juice, will have an amount, even the tiniest amount. And then there is another thing. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to have this juice. Drink it on the first day, drink it on the second day, third day he gives it to the servant. Why?
Because if you drank it that much at that point.
No. First day is still juice, second day is still juice, third day is still juice. It's about to get bad. It's about to turn into alcohol. It's not alcohol yet. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will not give someone alcohol to drink. It's still not an alcohol. But what's actually happening now in those 3 days, even in the first day and second day, is fermenting. Yeah, the sugar is breaking down and forming alcohol, right? So this amount of alcohol is not effective.
Yeah.
Okay, this is one method. The other method, if for some reason food gets mixed with alcohol, but this amount of alcohol that mixed is actually gone.
All the way through heat.
No. What I mean by gone, like what? You have this big pot, and for some reason you dropped a drop of alcohol. It's gone. It's not there. Okay. So similarly, this prevents the obsession of what? Okay, so I'm getting this cake, and this cake contains vanilla, and this whole vanilla has, is kept in ethanol. How much did they put on the whole dough? They put this spoon on the whole dough, and it's actually gone. There's no. Yes, you're getting the taste and smell of vanilla because this is the main thing, but there is no no smell of the ethanol, no smell of alcohol, no taste of the alcohol, no effect of the alcohol, nothing. If you eat 10 cakes, you're not going to get intoxicated.
So I have a question.
So it's gone.
I have a question about that. So say for example, at a restaurant, they might cook with alcohol, right? So they put like alcohol to like a certain.
Yeah,
food
to tender the steak or something. Like that.
So at that point, the alcohol in the food is not going to intoxicate you. Would you still be able to?
Okay, so there is another thing now.
Okay.
There's a difference between what I'm saying and what you're saying. So first of all, you need to know that there are things like food with alcohol, like cakes with alcohol, chocolate with alcohol that actually intoxicates. We're not talking about this at all.
Yeah, okay.
Another thing, if there is food, like they do with alcohol, but it's not intoxicating anymore, but the taste of the alcohol is there.
Or the alcohol enhances the taste, makes it taste like.
The taste is there, meaning to say, Alhamdulillah, I don't know about the alcohol types. But let's say things like, I think champagne is done from wine.
Yeah,
Okay?
'cause they put wine.
And by the way, wine is the worst of the alcohol.
Oh, so
They consider the fancy, but this is from the grape. This is the worst, the most haram of the alcohol.
Voila.
Yeah.
Allah.
Okay, subhanAllah. So let's say you have this wine, either red or white or whatever, and they put it on some food, and they actually cook the food, and the ethanol evaporates. It's gone. But the taste of wine is there.
That is impermissible.
That's impermissible.
Okay.
Okay? There's still the... What I'm saying is that if you...
So I guess you and I wouldn't know that.
We wouldn't know, alhamdulillah. But what I say like that, because, as I mentioned, there is vanilla and some ice cream. Okay? And this ice cream, if you eat those two barrels, you're going to die, but you're not going to get intoxicated. Okay?
Then it's
It is permissible, yeah.
Okay.
Alhamdulillah, okay? Because it's not considered askara kathiru. It's not considered something that intoxicates
So long as
when it's consumed in large amounts, okay? Of course, you're not allowed to get, some vanilla, dissolved in alcohol and put it intentionally on your food and say it will disappear. No, you're not allowed to get this and put it from the beginning.
made like that.
But if someone used it and it's gone, then there is no
Okay.
effect for that, because it's another thing. Okay, I hope this is clear. Is this clear? Alhamdulillah. Okay, do you want to mention quickly about dua or enough for today? Enough for today? Okay. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam tasliman kathira.